So, welcome to our Monday morning meetup. So, let's start by just finding that comfortable posture. So, just checking that the body's supported, that we're taking care of ourselves, maybe making a few adjustments, a few movements. And when you're ready, if you're comfortable, just closing your eyes. And always remembering that you can keep your eyes open. We don't have to close our eyes for meditation. It's just sometimes helpful to do that so we're less distracted. But we also have to remember that sometimes this can cause more distraction because if what's going on in our heads is busier than what's going on around us, then it can actually be more distracting to close the eyes. So then it can be helpful to either find an object on which to rest your gaze, or just let your gaze rest softly on the floor or the wall in front of you. Let your gaze soften. And we can breathe into the face. So as we breathe in, imagining that that air is just softening all the small muscles in the face, around the eyes and the temples, around the nose, the lips and the mouth, the cheeks and the chin. So allowing each in-breath to just soften the muscles in the face. And then feeling that soft flow as it flows down into the neck and the shoulders. And on an out breath, you may like to just drop the shoulders a little and just feel that space between the jaw and the shoulders expanding. It's this flow of softening, this soothing breath flowing into the chest, all the way down the back, the front of the body, into the hips, and just feeling that contact between your back and the back of the chair or whatever you're resting on. And on the next in-breath, imagining the breath flowing down into the hips and continuing down into the legs. And just feeling the downward pressure of the body here. Contact between the back of your legs and whatever's supporting your body right now. Maybe your hands are resting on your lap and you can feel that contact too. Maybe you can feel clothing on your legs. And the next in-breath, imagining that it could flow all the way down to the feet. And being aware of what your feet are resting on here. Maybe you can feel the soles of your feet pressing down into the floor. Feeling that contact, that grounding. Maybe it's the heels of your feet resting on a cushion or a couch. And remembering there's no right or wrong way to feel. We're just feeling whatever's here. Just moving our awareness through the body, and as we do that, just giving the body permission to rest and to be soothed by the breath. The in-breath like a soft, soothing wave flowing through the body. And the out-breath an invitation to release, to let go of any tension or tightness we find. That could be in the body or in the mind. And then just inviting you to use the skill of imagination. And imagine that you're standing or sitting by a beautiful, still lake. And the lake is so still, so serene, that just gazing upon its surface brings you a sense of stillness and serenity. And the surface of the lake is like a perfect mirror, reflecting its surroundings. And you notice a cloud appearing, drifting across the surface of the lake. You recognize that this is a reflection of a cloud high above you in the sky. You realize that this is what clouds do. They appear, they float into our awareness, our vision, and then they disappear. They float away. And as you gaze at the surface of the lake, you remember that the cloud is not the sky. The cloud is just floating through the sky. And then you remember that the sky is very much like your mind. And the clouds are like your thoughts. They appear, they float through our awareness, and if we let them, they disappear again. And then you remember that thoughts are not facts. Thoughts are just thoughts. So when viewed from this perspective, we can choose which thoughts we want to follow and act on, and which ones we recognize as just thinking. Maybe helpful or unhelpful thinking. And if it's unhelpful, we can just let it go. Just notice the thought and then shift our attention elsewhere. Maybe back to the surface of the lake or something we can see in its reflection. We can choose whether to be with our thoughts or not. And then you notice your own reflection in the lake. And you realize that you are not your thoughts, because you are observing your thoughts just as you're observing the lake and the sky and the clouds. You can't be your thoughts because you're observing them coming and going. In the same way that you notice feelings arising and dissipating, sensations in the body. The I that is observing must be separate from all of these things, just as you are separate from the lake, separate from the sky, separate from the clouds. So, just in a couple of minutes' silence, just notice and observe. And if it helps, then you can name what you're observing. For example, thinking, feeling, bodily sensation. Or you could be even more precise if you want to. So just experiment for a couple of minutes and just see what you notice. And in a moment, we're going to transition from meditating to sharing, moving into a different activity. So just gently allowing images to fade as you bring your awareness back to sounds around you, sensations of touch, feeling the weight of the body. And as you think about opening your eyes and what you'll see when you do, remembering that this isn't the end of the meditation. We can take this awareness that we've been exploring into the rest of the day with us. So we can notice when we're thinking, when we're feeling, when we're sensing something. And we can notice that we are not those things. We're not our thoughts, our feelings, our physical sensations. We are separate from those. We're the observer of those. And when we remember that, it gives us more opportunity to take control, more opportunity to choose. We can choose where we rest our attention. So just inviting you now to choose to bring your attention to your feet and toes and wriggle your toes. Feel that contact with the floor, with the ground. And as you start to wriggle and stretch your fingers, maybe moving your shoulders, taking a couple of deep breaths, sighing out, stretch the body, have a good yawn if you want to, and just open your eyes and take in your surroundings once more.